Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video in Chapter 4. In this series, we are going to use the quadratic formula. And so the three main things that we're going to be covering in this series is using the quadratic formula to find two real solutions, using quadratic formula when there's only one real solution, and also using the quadratic formula to find two imaginary solutions. So let's go ahead and jump right in here. So the quadratic formula is a way to solve a quadratic equation. Had a space out moment there. We've done this previously in 4.4 and 4.5. We solved quadratic equations using factoring and using the square root. So in this lesson, we're going to use a formula, that is the quadratic formula, to solve a quadratic equation. So down here, we've got what the definition of the formula is. So A, B, and C, the numbers, are real, and none of them are zero. The solutions of any quadratic equation in standard form, right? Notice that this is standard form, can be expressed as negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So whatever values you have for a, b, and c, you plug them in over here, and then you simplify, okay? So let's go ahead and see an example of this formula in use. So here is our quadratic equation, x squared plus 3x equals 2, and we're going to solve it using the quadratic formula. And again, the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and that's all over 2a. So we're going to solve this. Now, remember what we said in the last slide. In order to use this formula, this has to be in standard form. Notice that the x squared term, the x term, and the constant term have to be on the same side of the equation. So before we can do anything here, we have to make sure it's in standard form, and looking at it, it is clearly not, because the 2 over here is on the wrong side of the equation. So step 1 is going to be get equation in standard form. And to do that, we're going to use a little bit of algebra. Make that look like a G. And we're going to subtract 2 from both sides, which is going to leave us with x squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. And you'll see from the previous slide, that's standard form. X squared term, x term, constant term equals 0. X squared term, constant term, linear term, constant term equals 0, right? And then step 2 then is going to just be plug into the formula. So we need to identify what our A, B, and C is. Our A value, there's nothing written here, which means it's 1. Our B value is 3. And our C value is negative 2. So I'm going to take these numbers and I'm going to plug it into this beast of a formula up here. Negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 2. And that's all over 2 times 1. And now we've got to simplify, right? So we need to use our order of operations. Remember PEMDAS. Parentheses first. In this case, the square root is considered a parentheses. So we need to simplify what's in here first. And then we have exponents. So this is going to be 3 squared, which is 9. And then negative 4 times 1 times negative 2 is a positive 8. And then divided by 2 times 1, which is 2. Finish off what's in here is going to give me negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 17 all over 2. And now we just need to check to simplify, right? That's kind of our last step, is to simplify. We need to make sure that the radical has been simplified. and then if there's anything that needs to be canceled out. So -3, 2, and 1, there's nothing that can be canceled there. Root 17. 17 is a prime number. No square numbers multiply evenly into 17. So there's nothing to do there. This one is simplified. And so this is actually going to stay our answer, is this right here, -3 plus or minus the square root of 17 divided by 2. If we could simplify it further, we would, but we can't. And so it's going to stay like this. All right, and those my two answers. If you wanted to write both of the answers down, one answer is -3 plus root 17 over 2, and the other answer is -3 minus root 17 over 2. That's why it says plus or minus. Okay. All right, that's it for this sort of first introduction video where we found 2 real solutions, right? These both being my 2 real solutions. There's a practice problem back for you on Canvas and on your notes, so please go do that, and then we'll catch you in the next video.